Let's talk about the most powerful law you've ever obeyed. It has no police force. Nobody signed it. There is no penalty for breaking it and no court that will hear the case. We've all obeyed it several thousand times, probably this week, and if somebody breaks it in front of you, your entire body will react before your brain has caught up. It's the cue, and we're going to look at what's actually holding it together, because the answer is much stupider and much better than we expected. So, here's our man, and he's third in a queue. That's the whole situation. He's not in a hurry. He has nowhere important to be. He's third, and he's at peace with being third. And if you had asked him 30 seconds ago, he would have told you he doesn't care about any of this. But a man has just walked up the side and stepped in at number 2. And something happens in our man's body that he didn't authorize. His temperature changes. He can hear his own heartbeat. He's now doing arithmetic about a delay of roughly 40 seconds. And he wants you to know that it isn't about the 40 seconds. Now, the cue is younger than we thought, and it wasn't invented by the polite. The first written description of one is from 1837, in Thomas Carlyle's History of the French Revolution, where he describes Parisians during the bread shortages standing in what he calls queues, or tails, and the phrase he uses is the one we still use. So that the first come be the first served. That's the whole invention right there in a famine, and we find that genuinely moving. And it did not arrive because people got nicer. It arrived because of railways and factories and cities. The historian Joe Moran puts it plainly, the queue is a product of urbanized industrial societies that brought masses of people together in one place. Before that, you didn't need one. The old methods worked fine, and the old methods were pushing, bribery, and sending a servant. What broke them was scale. 10 people at a bakery can sort it out. 200 strangers at a railway platform, all arriving at the same minute because a timetable told them to, can't. So the queue is not manners, it is infrastructure. It's a fairness algorithm invented for crowds, and it happens to be the only one anybody has ever agreed on. Not who is strongest, not who is best connected, not who needs it most, but who got here first. It's a bit crude, and we should be honest with each other that it doesn't always give the right answer. But everyone can verify it from where they're standing, and that turns out to matter more than being right. Which brings us back to our man, third in a queue, watching a stranger stand where he should not be, because a rule with no police force has to be enforced by somebody, and there's nobody here except us. Here's what actually happens, and it was measured. In 1986, Stanley Milgram, the same Milgram, sent researchers into 129 real queues in New York and had them cut in, saying only this, "Excuse me, I'd like to get in there." That's the whole intervention. No excuse, no story about a sick relative, no charm. And the queues held but barely, and not in the way you'd expect. In only about 10% of cases did anybody physically stop them. 10%. In roughly half the cases, somebody reacted. A look, a tut, an eye roll, a few words, and then let them stay anyway. So let's sit with that for a second, because we think it's the finding of the whole film. The thing holding up the queue, the mechanism, the enforcement arm of the entire system, is a noise. It's a small disapproving noise made with the tongue, followed by nothing, and half the people wouldn't even go that far. There's a lovely detail in it too, which is that the people standing in front of the cut were far less bothered than the people behind it. Which makes perfect sense, because the man at the front has lost nothing, and it's very easy to be philosophical about a queue you're already at the top of. And then Milgram tried one more thing, and this is the part that changes the film. He sent in 2 intruders instead of 1. An objection went up to about 91%, which is remarkable when we turn it around. One person breaking the rule reads as an accident or an emergency or somebody who didn't see. 2 people breaking the rule reads as the rule not existing. And that everybody defends. We're not protecting our place. We're protecting the existence of the arrangement, and we do it the moment it looks like it might be going. So back to our man, and he has a choice, and it's a genuinely difficult one. He can say something, which means becoming, for the next 4 minutes, the man who made a scene about a queue in front of 9 strangers who will remember him and not the other one. Or he can say nothing and be fine and be furious. He does what nearly all of us do. He tuts just once, quite quietly actually, and slightly late. And here's the thing that we didn't expect when we started looking at this, and it's why we wanted to make this one. That tiny cowardly noise is not a failure. It is the system working exactly as designed. The queue does not need anybody to be brave. It needs everybody to be mildly disapproving, at low volume, reliably, forever. That's a much lower bar. And lower bars are what actually hold civilizations up. Because look at what it costs to run. No police, no cameras, no fines, no membership, nobody checking. The entire operating cost of the fairest system we've got is a few hundred people a day being slightly embarrassed. It is the cheapest institution in the world, and it works better than most of the expensive ones. And once you see that, you start noticing that we do this everywhere. Nobody enforces holding a door. Nobody fines you for taking the last biscuit. Nobody has ever been arrested for standing on the wrong side of an escalator, and yet an entire city moves smoothly because of a rule that has no author. We would argue, these are not small things pretending to be big. They are the actual load-bearing walls, and they are made of tutting, which is not to say the queue is sacred, because we should be fair to the man who cut. Sometimes he's a monster. Very often he's somebody who genuinely didn't see the line, or is new here, or is having the worst day of his life and can't face one more thing. The rule is good. It is not a character assessment. So what do we actually do with this? Two things, and they're both small, because everything in this film is small. The first is that when it happens to you, you're allowed to say something, and you should know that the cost is lower than it feels. Milgram's cues did not turn on the objector. Nobody sides with the cutter. The thing you're dreading, the scene, is almost entirely happening inside your own head. And the second is the one we'd actually push, which is to notice how much you're getting for free. You live inside dozens of these arrangements, all of them unpoliced, most of them invisible, every one of them held up by ordinary people doing the least impressive possible version of the right thing. Nobody will ever thank you for it. There's no medal for waiting. But the next time you're third in a queue and somebody steps in at number 2 and you feel that ridiculous heat come up the back of your neck, that is not you being petty. That is you, briefly, being the entire justice system. Make the noise. It's your turn.